Good evening, everyone, and you're welcome to my broadcast this evening. Uh, my name is Femi. I'm your host today, and I'm so grateful to have you guys join me today live. And just before we start, I'd like to say um, thank you to all of you for taking out time to watch this go live, and for those of you that will be watching the replay, I also want to extend my gratitude to you as well. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. Tonight, I just thought to share a few thoughts with us today, and I'm sure that it will be of benefit to most of us that will be watching tonight. And as usual, if you have any comment, I'll appreciate if you can just put your comment down below so that we can learn from one another or from each other, as the case may be. So tonight, I'm going to be talking about something that, as a business person, I just thought it was very important for to note, and I think this also cuts across every area of our lives in all human endeavors. So, in the past week, I was opportune to watch the I was opportune to watch one video that is titled "The Founder," and the founder happens to be a true life story of the McDonald brothers. You know how they how they started McDonald's, the almighty McDonald's that we all know today, how they started it and how they lost it. I mean, it was quite a pity. They put in so much effort, so much work into it, and they lost it. But you see, like the reason I brought this here to us today is because I know that there's so much to learn from what transpired. You know what caused them to lose it, and how they lost it. But today, I'll just be doing the introduction uh, to this uh, to this um, to this episode. Sorry, I'll just do an introduction to this series, and hopefully maybe another two episodes, and then I'll wrap it up. But you see, like I I, I found this quote that was that was given some years ago. I think it was in by one of the United States presidents, former United States presidents. I think in the 1920s, and his name is Calvin Coolidge. You know, he said something. He said that there's nothing more common than an unsuccessful person with talent. And that really struck me. When I saw that quote, I just remembered the movie I just watched, and then I tried to put both of them together. And I don't know, for some of you that may have schooled in Africa, just like myself that schooled in Nigeria, you know, we have these grading systems in the university that we say we have first class, we have second class upper, second class lower, third class, and all of that. You know, how many of you have observed that it's not everyone that had a first class? What you call, um, I think it's, I don't know what they call it here in North America. It's something that, I mean, I think it's called cum laude in North America, right? How many people have that first class that are outperforming the people with even third class or second class lower? And not that I'm discounting the quality of education that people have, but you see what this guy was saying here generally was that talent talent is not enough for success in life. You know, it's not enough for success in life. It's good to have talent, but to succeed in life, we need to be persistent. You know, we need to be determined, and we need to be able to take action when necessary so that we don't miss opportunities. And you know, like we can tie this to so many things in life, you know, whether it's your business that you're running. You know, like sometimes we run advertisement or we talk to some people, they want to do our business, but over time they overthink it and they lose the opportunity. Maybe they come back after 2 or 3 years, and then they see what's happening in the business and they say, wow, I saw this opportunity about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But you know what? I was just dragging my feet because I was overthinking and never got to do anything. So that's one of these things that it's required, for success in life. Seeing an opportunity and being able to take advantage of it pronto. That's almost immediately. Of course, you have to do your due diligence anyway. So talent alone is not enough. Persistence, determination, those are the things that lead to success. But how do I connect this to the story of the McDonald brothers, Dick and Mark? So the two brothers that were very smart guys, they were very talented and very innovative. They started their their barbecue company, out of nothing. They moved to San Bernardino. I hope I got that correctly, in California. I think in 940, and they created a revolutionary fast food system. You know, they perfected it. They were very efficient and very consistent. They were very concerned about the name. They were very concerned about the product that they rolled out. They were consistent. They were particular about the consistency, and so they did all the quality control, all the quality checks, and all of that, just to make sure that there was consistency. And like they built something ahead of time, ahead of his time. I mean, like nobody could have thought then, because like when they started initially, people will park their cars in front of their only only burger place then. And then they had waiters that would come out, take the orders, and then like they make the food and bring it outside for them, on the plates and all of that. And the customers will eat, and then they will go away. So the waiters will have to go and pick up the plates, and there were lots of losses due to breakage of plates, and then also overhead costs, because you have to keep those waiters to keep going to the customers. And you can imagine if it was booming like it was then, they had many waiters. So this was costing them so much. So they streamlined their business model, and then they started this speedy service system, which which they felt um, was very important, and it was revolutionary. An early assembly line approach that streamlined food production and eliminated all the traditional wait staff and all of that. Eliminated breakage of plates and all that. They introduced, takeouts, buying stuff, and they delivered your meals in paper bags, and then you could take that home for you to go and eat there, even if you wanted to, and all of that. It was very, very wonderful, and they were doing very well. But you see, in all of this, there was something that they lacked. They were not relent. I mean, like they lacked persistence. They didn't know how to scale their business. They didn't know how to expand, and they were not even thinking about dominating the industry, even though they were doing something that was that was fantastic, something that was revolutionary. They were not even ready, to take the world. So that was the beginning of their problems. They were not open to new ideas other than just sell uh, their burgers. I'm like they moved to burgers eventually because they realized that people bought more of the burgers than they did the barbecue. So they moved to burgers, and then they started doing this. But you see, what happened was that there was a guy, a sales guy, called Ray Kroc. Ray was selling milkshake machines, and he had all kinds of challenges with his sales. He had been turned down by a lot of people, a lot of organizations, and all of that. But there was something about him that was positive. He was persistent. He was never ready to let go. And he saw opportunity, from a mile away. So he had a meeting with this guy sometime, like when he was invited over, they wanted to buy one of his not one. I think they wanted to buy a few milkshake machines, and that was the first exposure that he had to their burger. The burger was fantastic, and besides the fact that it was fantastic, he saw the people that he saw the patronage, and there he started thinking of expansion. He started thinking of how he could own something like that, how he could own it. He started thinking of how to expand it. And of course, he shared the ideas with his brothers. Well, of course, they bought into the ideas, but it took a while for them to buy into the idea, and all that. Well, he was persistent, he was aggressive in execution, and he had long-term visions. These are all the things that these brothers lacked. So in business, it's very important, you know, to be persistent, not just to have the know-how, not just to have the skills, but to be persistent, to be aggressive in your execution, to have a long-term vision. Persistence means that, I mean, like, you don't take no for an answer. It doesn't matter how things go. You'll always want to go back, even when things look like it's not working. Do you just throw in the towel, or are you willing to give it another chance? So that was one thing that Ray Kroc was good at, but the McDonald's brothers, they were not ready for that. So that was a big challenge. Well, long story short, they lost that business to Ray Kroc. You know, and one of the problems that they had was that they did not even retain they didn't retain that name. They had no retainership of that name, McDonald's. So at the end of the day, uh, Ray Kroc started with that name trade, um, McDonald's, and then of course uh, he started up with with what do you call it now, with real estate. When he realized that the money was not really in the burgers. It wasn't as if burgers were not making money, but he saw that the big money was not in burgers. Because after he had introduced the brothers to franchise, he recognized that he wasn't really making money. So he was fortunate to find somebody that actually introduced the idea of um of real estate. So he started buying the land and getting the people that were taking the franchise to buy the land off of him. So that was how he made his money. Well, at the end of the day, he bought off the McDonald's food chain from these two brothers. And it was so sad because he bought it just for $2.7 million. And what sad there was that he wasn't there in the beginning. Like, he had no idea how to flip burgers. He was not there when they created the speedy model and all of that. But he was just so smart. He was persistent, and he saw ahead of time. These were the things that the McDonald's brothers didn't see. And when he was going to buy it off, he offered 2.7 million. They agreed, and he said he didn't have money, so he wanted to pay overtime. And the guy said, "Well, if you're going to pay overtime, then you have to pay us some kind of royalty." So he found money and paid them off. So that was all those guys made from all the effort they put in. It was quite painful, quite painful. So um, the summary here was that Ray Kroc had the persistence, and in business, just as Calvin Coolidge pointed out, talent without persistence is common and often forgotten. So this was how two brilliant brothers, two brilliant founders created something. They created something extraordinary, but they lost it to the man who refused to stop until he owned it. It's a great lesson. So the next time, which is going to be about the same time next week, I'll be looking at what was it exactly, the two brothers, Mark and Dick McDonald's, what were the things they did wrong? What were the things they did right? And if time permits, maybe we'll look at what Ray Kroc did that was right or wrong, or maybe we'll extend it by another episode. And this is where I'm going to stop tonight. I hope that you get something out of this. You know, just recognize that eh, the knowledge that you have, the talent that you have, the skills that you have would not be enough to take you to see you through the finish line. To be able to get to the finish line, you need not only the talent, you need the persistence, you need um, uh, to be able to take action, you need to be able to see the future. So this is where I will stop tonight, and I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you, and I hope that you got something from this. See you sometime next week. Cheers, and God bless you.